Ladies and gentlemen, sports fans of all ages, it's our pleasure to present to you the newest name in Delaware sports and sports around the world, who has had absolutely no success in the real world, so he's dedicated his life to talking sports. He's known to be quickly and very opinionated. It's time to get in the huddle with your host, Coach Muddle.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to In the Huddle with Coach Muddle. Look at this, 2 weeks in a row we're on. It's so how you doing, Devon and Nick? We got a little football fix this past week, which was good.
Yeah. You got one game so far. It wasn't, that's the thing that gets me crazy. There was actually, and I think, look, there's the ones that are just trolling and being idiots, but there was actually some Cowboys fans that were like, man, the defense looks better. And it's like, come on, nobody's playing any of these games, And honestly, I think, obviously, you need to worry about the defense in Dallas, but I think the bigger concern is, Dak missing almost a whole year and now having shoulder issues. And it's like, you'd think the one thing that would be well rested on him would be his shoulder. You know what I mean? I understand, he's doing some things in the offseason, but still, he missed the whole year, basically. You'd think that's the one thing that would be working on him.
I agree, but I honestly heard some talking heads say this. I kind of agree. I think he just went out the first day of camp and overdid it. Wanted to show off, prove to everybody he's back and everything. So I think he might have overdid it, and he'll be back soon.
That's definitely possible. And I know a lot of teams too are very, a lot of precaution, in this point of the year. But still, I'd like to see, after what happened last year with all the injuries in the beginning part of the season, and I know part of it was no preseason last year, but I'm real curious. Look, guys like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, they don't need to see the field. But, they're quarterbacks. It's not a position you want to get hit. But these running backs, linebackers, linemen, man, I'm curious to see what they do this year if they play these preseason games or they're going to keep that same philosophy. Because, man, we saw a lot of guys get hurt early in September last year, especially at the running back position and some top-of-the-line guys. I mean, Stiz knows when fantasy football, I think 3 or 4 of the top 5 or 6 picks, really didn't play much last year. Saquon, CMC, Michael Thomas, because of injuries on the field, obviously.
Right. Absolutely. I agree. So I'm anxious to see, this weekend we'll get to see a little bit more, we'll get to see the Eagles in action. We'll see the Giants in action. We'll get to see how that rolls. And I'm kind of, excited to see what the Giants look like with this still question marks with the offensive line. Not really, and all reports come out that, they don't really look that good in practice. There's still a lot of false starts, so it's very concerning, Kenny Golladay now he's out with a hamstring. So where is the Giant offense at? So, on the plus side, Saquon's off the PUP list, are we going to see him in the preseason? Probably not. Which, okay, I'm okay with that. But,
Right. No, I get it. But that's the problem right now, too. You don't see a lot of teams at full strength. There's certain guys for precautionary reasons they're holding back or for, being hurt last year or injury history. They're not playing. It's like when people say about the Eagles, they're like, oh, the offense isn't looking great in practice. Well, it's like Devontae Smith isn't playing. Brandon Brooks, the Pro Bowl right guard, isn't practicing. You got to see that, their full complement, and then you'll know. But that's what worries me too, especially when you look at a situation like the Giants and the Eagles. So Hurts and Devontae Smith, yes, they play together at Alabama, but you're playing in the pros together now in a whole new offense. So you need to get that familiarity with each other, just like Golladay and Danny Jones need to do. So that's the one thing you don't like when you see guys are out early, because you like getting that chemistry. You saw it with Brady last year. Look at that first half with Brady, and then they go on that run in the second half. And that was familiarity, not having a training camp, a normal training camp with each other, not having mini camps because of COVID. That hurt Brady a little bit. And that's the best there ever was. So imagine what it's going to do to a guy like Jalen Hurts and Danny Jones. And I just think, you need to get as many of these guys on the field and getting some time with each other to get familiarity with the offense.
I agree. And can I just say, honestly, with Deshaun Watson, I think they're smart. They're going to sit back and wait because somebody's faulted, whether it's Danny Jones, whether it's the Eagles with not putting Jalen Hurts on a short leash, which I don't agree with. I mean, there's a ton of teams. Cleveland should Baker Mayfield, right. Obviously the Colts, it's in their division. I don't think that'll happen. But there's some teams out there that I think you hold on to Watson one more year, let him sit back, and I mean you're still good. They're going to back up the Brinks truck for it.
Right, and they know now too, and I think they're looking at it and saying, okay, look what happened last year. Some spots got filled. The Niners, who obviously weren't happy with Jimmy G, they can sit there and try to shine shit like they're trying to do. Yeah. But obviously when you go draft a guy number 3 overall and move up in the draft, you're not happy with him. Like you can not say it all you want. All your actions are saying you're not happy.
You're just blowing sunshine to get the trade value up.
So when other teams jockey, the Jets made a draft pick. So they did whatever it is they thought that they could do. Bears went and made a draft pick. But like you said, the Texans know there's a handful of teams that situations – like I said, I agree in a sense. I think Jalen Hurts deserves some time, but he might have the shortest leash you're ever going to see in football. Yeah. I really think he might not even get a year. It might be a set of games. I'm not sure. But I think, if they give them the year, that's what he's going to get. And if he doesn't prove it in 1 year, I really see them moving up in the draft because of the draft capital they have or making that trade for Watson. But that's one team, the Eagles. The Giants are a possibility. The Browns are a possibility. If Rodgers does leave and they're not happy with Jordan Love, that's a possibility. And that's what you want. You want multiple teams that want your guy. And obviously, too, I think they know they're better off waiting to this offseason coming up and that situation's resolved than right now. Right. Because you got an unresolved situation, any team's going to hold that against you. And plus, too, what do you really have? You might have the Eagles with some interest. You want where you got 4 or 5 teams all interested in a guy, and then that's how you can leverage other teams against each other.
Right. I agree. I think that's the way it's going to go, and we'll see how that goes. And a lot of talk with the the Redskins and their front
Washington football team.
That's my bad.
I did it last week. You this week.
The Washington football team, and their front 4. You got 4 first-round picks in the mix, and they're going to go get it. And the reason why I bring them up, I'm listening to the NFL channel on Sirius Radio in the car yesterday, and they're at Washington camp. And they're just hyping up the defense. They got 3 picks because of the defensive line. Well, who's throwing those picks? Fitzmagic. Yeah. Fitzmagic is the guy throwing the picks, okay? Just remember that. Where's Sammy? Where's Sammy today? So I can get on him about it.
Yeah, he's the prototypical guy who can't take pressure, and will sometimes put that ball up and you need to worry about. One thing I thought was really interesting, and look, you kind of try to learn from the situation of the Eagles and the Rams. I mean, look what the Rams needed to do in order to get rid of Goff and unload that contract. They had to give up an extra first-round pick. Now, look, I get you're getting Stafford, but still, you essentially to get them to take that contract on, needed to give up an extra first-round pick because they're taking on Goff's contract. Obviously, we know what happened with the Eagles and signing Wentz. So you see the Bills go out and give, $280 million, I believe, to Josh Allen. And look, he has a monster year last year, 4,500 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. His completion percentage is 69.2. But when you look in previous years, he didn't have the completion percentage, 58.8 and 52.8. Surprised they
Yeah,
give him the size. I agree with you. I know you're going to say I agree with giving him the deal. I just don't know about the size of the deal.
but
280
also,
million.
wait a second. Has he done more than Dak?
Yeah.
Has he done more than? So he's got to be in that neighborhood though, because of what Dallas did.
Well,
Dallas paid a guy for doing nothing.
Yeah, well, you know what, Coach? What has
So-
Jerry Jones done? And Jerry Jones finally came out, admitted that, let's be honest, you know, he really shouldn't get credit for those 3 Super Bowls. Jimmy Johnson got those 3 Super Bowls. I know he was only the coach for 2, but that moron Barry Switzer rode Jimmy's players. It's the truth, though, Coach.
Yes,
It were
you're
Jimmy's
right.
players
Absolutely.
he won the Super Bowl with, and he was a moron. They should have won way more. He was an idiot. And then they hired Dave Campo, who was another moron. And Jerry ruined that organization. I mean, Coach, a storied franchise like the Cowboys, they haven't been to an NFC championship game since 1996. That's 25 years, Coach. That's a disgrace. And that shows you how, look, Jerry Jones, excuse me, he took over a 1-15 team or whatever they were. He brought in Jimmy, and he stayed back. But ever since he got rid of Jimmy, he has not been able to keep his hands off that team and mess them up. And the Dak situation's a prime example of that. I thought they were starting to head in the right direction. They were drafting first-round linemen, working on the line, getting those grit types players you need. And now you see them paying Jalen Smith the money they paid him at linebacker you shouldn't do. Going and getting Amari Cooper, giving him $100 million, doing the Zeke deal was
And
a
he
huge
might be
mistake.
the odd man out there.
Well, I mean, and now you go give Dak $40 million a year, and you got these 3 guys that Dak, Zeke, and Amari Cooper just aren't giving you the production that their contracts say. They just aren't. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a huge problem. And you're going to have a shitty defense. And, you know, look, they had injuries along the offensive line this year. I think their line will be better. But I don't know when they're going to get that defense. Parsons will help this year. I mean, you know, but to me, Mike McCarthy, big question mark. I might have made a move there. And let's see what they can do with the new defensive coordinator. But I have a lot of question marks with that defense. And I don't know. McCarthy, you know, he wins the Super Bowl with Rodgers, but you could see Rodgers, he almost seems like a guy who kind of just didn't stay with the league, and the league kind of went past him. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we'll see what happens because he's got the horses to be able to obviously be successful on offense.
Right. I agree, and you know, time will tell. We'll see how that works out. You know, obviously, we're not actually rooting for Dallas, but we'll see. But something has to give for them to do that. I know we get off track with that, but getting back to Josh Allen, his numbers went up when the Bills traded for a true number 1 receiver. In Stephon Diggs. I mean, when you get a guy who can catch the ball wherever you throw it, you know, it's going to boost your numbers. I don't care who you are.
Yeah. Well, and I think he was at that. I mean, you know, look, at a guy, where did he play? Was it Wyoming or something like that?
Yeah.
He didn't play at a high Division I school. So you do have that, you know, needed some time to get going in the league. He's always had a gun. I actually think, where I do give him credit too, I thought the Bills asked way too much of him last year. I mean, way too much, and he performed. He
did. And they needed to get a running game.
Yeah. Yes. But the one thing that's interesting to me off the Josh Allen contract is that supposedly Baker Mayfield's going to use this as a baseline. And I'll tell you this: if the Browns sign him before the end of this season, I really think that's going to be something they are going to regret immensely in the future.
I don't see it. I don't see them doing that. I think
they're supposedly talking though, Coach.
Of course, you got to be talking because you want to make your guy happy. Doesn't mean that they're gonna sign him, but I could see them franchise tagging him.
Yeah. Well, this is year 4, correct?
4, and I don't think they picked up the 5th-year option for him. I think he's playing for his 5th-year option right now.
Yeah, you might be right. And, like, you know, obviously they won't – I highly doubt if he goes in the next year as the guy, they're not going to make him go as a lame duck. I would think if he has a big year this year, I don't have a problem with you paying him. But you got to look. He's got a top 3 offensive line in the league. You have what I would say is 2 of the top 10 running backs in the league. You got Odell Beckham Jr., you got Landry, you got a decent tight end, you got a very good offensive-minded head coach. If you can't perform, and look, we did say last year we thought he would do better without OBJ, and he did. And I'm real curious to see how that element's going to work with OBJ there this year, because I think you got a diva wide receiver that you're always worried when he's going to blow up, and you're trying to make happy. And sometimes instead of looking at the field and letting the offense give take what the defense gives you, essentially, you're trying to get it to one guy to make him happy. And I think you saw a lot of that. So I'm real curious to see what happens with OBJ last year. I really thought they were going to trade him this year. We'll see. But
I don't think there was many takers. I don't think there was that many takers.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think I think you're seeing a lot of these guys now. It's the TO effect. If they go one, you'll get a second chance. But if they see you have issues in the second place, I'm not even going there. Yeah, I don't, because they're team killers, Coach. They're team killers. Yeah, and look, Billy Cummings just said it. He's right. It is a cancer. I mean, trust me, you're talking about a guy that's an Eagles fan, and I saw what he did to the Eagles. I mean, we were coming off a Super Bowl appearance, and he ruined that team. And then he went to the Cowboys and essentially, kind of did the same thing. I mean, it was a circus. Bill Parcells wouldn't even call him by his name. He just called him the player. I mean, and then he had the whole Vicodin thing, and the girl lady said he had 25 million reasons to live. Like, just then you had Drew Rosenhaus. Remember, next question.
Right.
It was a circus, man. It was a circus. So, no, I agree, Billy. He is a cancer, and I'm curious to see what happens this year. But, Coach, to me, going off what they did last year, I really believe Cleveland. What do you think? I think they need to win the division, or at least make the playoffs, and Baker have a.
I know. You made the playoffs already. You hit that. You checked that box. You got to win the division.
But you need to see a step forward from him too.
You do.
It can't be because your running game. You need to see something out of Baker to me to justify him paying him a big deal.
Because that. I mean, everybody's counting out Cincinnati, but I think they're going to be a better team year 2 of with their quarterback and adding some guys. I really think don't count them out. Team.
I think
no, not by far, but I'm just saying, as the Browns can't just focus on Pittsburgh and Baltimore to get to the top of the division because they're don't overlook Cincinnati because they might cost you a title. Yeah.
In my opinion, Coach, when you look at it right now, I think this is the Browns' division to lose. I think games or divisions aren't well on paper. We all know that. But I think on paper they have the best team. I mean, they were a talented team last year. You get, obviously they get the linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame. They get the young linebacker. They get Johnson, the safety from the Rams, who was a Pro Bowl safety to that team. You get Jadeveon Clowney, add him to that defensive line.
If he
You've had some very good upgrades to that defense needed. And I think if you look, the Steelers have lost some very talented offensive linemen. The Steelers, who started 11-0, looked very mediocre down the stretch. I have a lot of questions in regards to that Steelers offense. And the Ravens, too. Let's not forget, they lose Matthew Judon. Go Bengals. They lose Matthew Judon, and they also lose their tackle in Orlando Brown Jr., who was a Pro Bowl tackle.
Right.
That's another loss after coming off a year where you lost the Marshall Yanda, a perennial Pro Bowl guard. I'm real curious. Yes, they will get Ronnie Stanley back, who got hurt last year, but I'm just real curious, losing another tackle. How good is that running game for the Ravens? You lose Ingram, too. Is it still going to be – I believe they drafted a rookie early, the Ravens anyway. I know they got a couple receivers. We'll see. But I still don't trust Lamar. I love his playmaking ability. I think you're going to win games with Lamar and John Harbaugh. But like I've always said, I think there's a ceiling on it, and I think the ceiling on it is the second round of the playoffs or an AFC championship appearance at best. I don't see them ever making it to a Super Bowl with Lamar. And that's just my opinion. I love what he can do, but I just think he's a one-trick pony, in my opinion, right now. He needs to be able to throw the ball from the pocket.
I don't agree. As you know, the Ravens, fans of the show, Nick Boyle, big time fan of the show. We appreciate it. And I disagree with you, Nevada Nick. In I think if I am the Baltimore Ravens, let him throw the football. Just let him keep throwing the football.
If he can do that, it's going to be different.
He can throw the football.
When's he shown that?
And my biggest issue with Lamar Jackson, his mom's his agent. And I'm sorry. Family is involved, because the team, how it's negotiation.
Look at Eric Lindros.
Come on.
No, I'm just saying.
Because his dad. I know when you have your family involved, they take it personal when you start talking negative about their game because you want to pay them less. And they take it personal. They get mad, and it winds up getting bitter, and it's going to cost you money, and it's going to make friction. That's my only thing, man. I mean,
And my other thing, Coach, with Lamar, and look, I love him. I think he's great to watch. I enjoy gambling on him. I mean, he's fun, man. He really is. And look, last year I bet him in the playoffs. I bet him in the right situation when they won, and I bet against him in the right situation when they lost. But Lamar too, Coach. Yeah, and Lamar too, Coach. He takes way too many hits. You saw him go out in the playoff game this year where he slammed his head. He cannot take the amount of hits he has taken. I mean, he's not a big dude. This isn't Steve McNair. And look at the hits wore down Steve McNair. Steve McNair is 6'5", 250, 260. He was a big boy. Lamar Jackson isn't that. He can't keep taking – and I understand that element's part of the game. I have no problem with that. But, that's why I love what Russell Wilson does so much because he runs, but he doesn't take the hits. He's mindful of keeping his body good. Lamar, and I know he's a special talent. He takes some vicious hits sometimes, and I'm just waiting for that one that's going to you hear he's out for the season. And I don't want to see that happen, but I fear it's coming one day.
It's RG3. Look at RG3 was good, and then he took that big hit. He kept laying on it, and he was pretty much done after that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, hit RG3 and Wentz, probably two of the biggest falls from grace I've ever seen, and I think Wentz is actually even worse. RG3 had that great rookie year. He was in talk like how great he was going to be. I mean, Wentz was MVP of the league until his injury, and you've just seen this huge fall from grace, and we'll see what happens because now you're wondering I'm hoping because I bet the Colts to win more over 9.5 games that his injury's more to 5 weeks than the 12 weeks. But and plus I'd like to get that first round pick from the Colts, not a second round pick. But man, he's got to
no, because Wentz is screwing Philly just as much as he can. Why?
That's not why he's doing it. He wants to go out and win. I'm just real curious to see. We'll see what happens. I'm just curious if they get to close to that first game and it's Wentz isn't making big progress and he's going to miss, let's say 3, 4, 5 games. That Reich don't go out and pull the trigger for Nick Foles. How do you let Jacob Eason or the kid from Texas, Ellinger, how do you let them be your starting quarterback to start the year? I mean, you're going to probably start 0-3, 0-4. They play 5 playoff.
They have a tough schedule. Yeah, they have a tough schedule in the beginning.
5 games. It's not going to start well. Real curious to see how that plays out because I think it makes sense. Nick Foles doesn't want to be the number 3 quarterback in Chicago. I'm sure he would take a haircut on pay to go to the Colts. And I think it's the perfect fit now. I wouldn't care what Carson Wentz, about his feelings. You brought him in here to win a Super Bowl, and right. you flunked on the quarterback position so far. Mm-hmm. And now if you got another, it's tough. If he misses 4 or 5 games and then comes in and does well, but you don't make the playoffs, you're at the same thing you've been every year, where you're going into the next year with a question mark again. And it's Carson Wentz the guy. I mean, if he misses 4 or 5 games and they miss the playoffs, but even if he looks good, to me, you still have a question mark. One, can this guy stay on the field? And 2, is he the guy? And it's like, the Colts, that's the question every freaking year. Because the rest of the team's there, Coach. You know that.
But I agree. I agree with you. They are legit quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
And we'll
the
see.
Team's there up front. They got the line on both sides of the ball. I mean, look, is there positions I think they can upgrade?
And I was messing with you and Stiz. I texted you guys, said, "Oh, Jimmy G to the Colts," but I think that might happen as we get closer to the season. Come on, look, the 49ers are going to want to get rid of him, and I honestly,
I disagree for the fact that unless Lance,
like you said, have his feelings,
but Jimmy G's got a big deal. I mean, and I know Nick Foles does too, but Jimmy G's is like 23, 24 million. Unless he takes a haircut to go play for the Colts, they can't pay a quarterback that much money when they're paying Wentz what he's getting paid.
They're not
you know what I mean?
Wentz, but they're not paying Wentz.
Yes, they are.
The Eagles are.
No, the Eagles were responsible for the bonus portion. He's still getting 20-some million a year, though. He's still getting like 4 years, 80-some million from the Colts. Still 20-some million a year. You can't go pay another quarterback $20 million. I mean, look, I guess it's a possibility, but I think the Niners are going to keep Jimmy G around for a year and then move on from him. But I think Foles is the answer. He's familiar with the system. That's the biggest thing, is the familiarity with Frank Reich's system.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
It is. I mean, that's the way to go. Thanks, Billy. He's a 19.8, but it's close enough, Billy. Thank you, buddy. Now we want to get into some baseball on my Phillies, who are the hottest team in baseball right now.
I beg to differ, but okay. It is the Yankees. They have the best
Phillies have won 8 straight.
But the Yankees have the best record since July 6th.
Oh, here we go. The Phillies went out.
The Yankees are 28-6 since July 7th. Come on.
I think you're just throwing numbers out there, not 28-6. You can't even play that many games in.
We're in August, you dumbass. Games. Yeah, we're in August, you dumbass.
They have a game every day.
Hold on.
Pull that up.
I'm pulling it up. I
got to get verified on that. But I do know this. The Phillies are the hottest team right now. I'm not going to – we're not saying since July 7th. The Phillies have won 8 straight games, playing good baseball, finally made the moves they needed to make, going and get Kyle Gibson from the Rangers. And now you see it with their rotation. Before we had Wheeler and sometimes Nola we could count on. That was it. Then you basically had 3.5 starts where you didn't know what your starter was going to do for you. Now you got Gibson, Wheeler. I don't trust Nola still, but still, now he's in a position where you're not counting on him to be your ace or your number 2. You got Wheeler, Gibson as your 1-2, and I like it. They're both – Wheeler had a 9-inning shutout the other day. Gibson, I think, threw 7 innings, 2 runs the other day. So that's really good. Ranger Suarez has been great since he moved in. They got to stretch him out more. He's not, pitching many innings. They need to stretch him out more as a starter. But still, you have 4 solid starters now. And I really think the Phillies, if they can get healthy, especially with that lineup, which is starting to play better too, get McCutchen back. I think the Phillies are and obviously they have the easiest schedule down the stretch too, Coach. I think the Phillies are in a very good position for a team that was like a week ago, Coach, 4 games out of first place or 3 games out of first place to now be 2 games up in first place. It was a hell of a week, and I think the Phillies are in a great situation.
Okay.
Yeah, Billy Wheeler has been a beast lately. He had some flashes of brilliance with the Mets, but he got hurt, had Tommy John surgery. He's been good. Coming to the Phillies, he had like a 3.7 ERA, but he's really taken his game to another level. He's actually the betting favorite to be the National League Cy Young right now. So you're right. It has come out. I wouldn't say it came out of nowhere, but it really has been a big time elevation of his game where he's gone from being a solid 2 or 3 to being your guy, your ace, your horse. I mean, he's been very impressive, especially lately. But he did finish one season with the Mets down the stretch, and this was after the All-Star break, where he was like 9-1 with a 1.23 RA. So he's had great stretches before, but right now he's putting on one hell of a year. Is it the coaching? So Billy, I don't know if it's a coach. I mean, I think Girardi helps because he's a catcher. But I think Wheeler's one of those guys. I mean, look, he did pitch with DeGrom and Syndergaard with the Mets. I think a little bit it's the progression of his talent. And, maybe a guy like Girardi with his catcher background helping him out in tape study and things like that. But he's definitely – and I'll tell you this too, motivation. I mean, the Mets old GM flat out said – that the Phillies overpaid for Wheeler, and he's really regretting it now. I mean, it looks like a steal because they got Wheeler for 5 years, $118 million, which is nothing for what.
But the Mets could have had him for $85 million because they could have signed him early and they didn't. Now, look, I can't find the Yankees record because it keeps just popping up ESPN.
Look how long that took. I was talking for 45 minutes so he could do it. He didn't even get the numbers.
Listen,
what would Stiz set up?
Did
Coach
you
still
see,
crunching numbers. You need to take off the
still crunching numbers, man. Yep, I'm still crunching
and it's
numbers.
The truth. And he still didn't even get the numbers, Stiz. I had to talk for 45 minutes there to cover for this guy.
Did you see the ball girl for the Dodgers make that big tackle? She needs to be signed. She could sign for the Texans. They need a linebacker.
Yeah, he can't find the record. And he's a Yankees fan too, Billy. This is what I deal with. This is my fearless leader right here.
No. Yeah.
All I'm going to do, he can put your comment up. He couldn't do that. I talked for 45 minutes. He can't even get the record, put a comment up. Man, this is what we call Stat Boy. Like, what's that?
But we're in between interns, Billy. You know how it goes.
Yeah, we've been in between interns for 6 years, it feels like. You got it, Coach. You can stop looking for it. Let me do it. I'll find it real quick.
Go ahead. Look for it. The Yankees have the best record since the All-Star break, okay?
Yeah, it won't take me long.
All right, let's see.
It won't. You can talk, Coach. You can, I'm trying to look something up.
Yeah, you want me to? I am. Yes, Billy, we know. You're yes. Now, for those of you working with Billy is the board op. Okay, he produces my Friday Night Football show.
Does he?
Yes, he does. He's the producer for the Friday Night Lights, I should say.
Gotcha.
Who this year, is, it's up in the air. I'm still trying to convince him that he's the man and he should be there. So, All
right, Coach, 16-6 since the All-Star break. Not 28-6. Sorry.
All right. Okay. Whatever, man.
Only off by 12 games. I mean, you were close, Coach.
Whatever it is.
28-6.
Hey, look, I'm like Stiz's thing. It keeps growing every time.
No, but Stiz's was honest though. Stiz's was honest though. It was. He shot the proof on there too. To both of us that was the record. Yeah, he's painfully wearing a Yankees fan. It's up in the Well, yeah, no. Look, I mean, and me and Coach talked about this off the air. I like what the Yankees did with the lineup, but I really think they're going to regret counting on Severino when he's missed as long as he's missed.
But he made a couple of good starts.
Did Cole test positive for COVID, or was it
he's COVID. No, it's COVID.
No, and that's what you got to wonder, Coach. Is he going to be able to return to form when he comes back? Is there going to be, there's a lot of question marks. And
But look, the kid they brought up the last two starts, first game, 6 innings, no hit ball, shutout ball, I should say. The second start, 5 innings, no hit, shutout baseball. So we've got some youth. Severino is, I believe, made another start in AAA, so he should be up here shortly. So I mean, I'm confident where the Yankees stand.
Well, I think the team I think to watch out for is the Toronto Blue Jays. They're much like my Phillies. They went and got Barrios, the starter from the Twins, and you already had Rue there, and Robbie Ray's been pitching really well. They bring up the kid Manoah. So now you got 4 solid starters. They also missed George Springer for a big portion of the year. Now he's leading off and lighting it up. He's on fire right now. They have a tough lineup. I mean, now look, their division's tough. They're 7 games out of the division. Yankees are 6. But what's amazing is you have 4 teams in that division, 10 games above 500. Shows you how good that AL East is this year. And like I said, it's still amazing. What's that?
I was like 4, but I always forget about Tampa because it's Tampa.
Well, and it just shocks me that
Tampa, because they're not my alternate team. That's why I forget about them.
But it just shocks me though that Tampa's still there, because if you looked at on paper, they don't look near as talented as Toronto, the Yankees, or even the Red Sox. And for somehow they're there every year and they're in first place. And they got their best number 1 starter, Glasnow, is out for the year. I mean, and that's after losing Snell and Morton too. Like, it's just, I don't know how they do it every year. It's amazing. Just imagine if their group that could have money, what would they be able to do? Imagine that they're thinking heads with the Dodgers' money. Because the Dodgers just, honestly, to me, they're worse than the Steinbrenner Yankees coach. And I'm not talking about Hank Steinbrenner. No. What's the guy's name? George. I'm talking about George Steinbrenner Yankees, where it was just sign people. And it was pretty crazy. The Dodgers coach, like I said, their whole infield's all-stars. Muncy, Trey Turner, Seager, Justin Turner, Betts is an all-star, Bellinger in the outfield, all-star and MVP. Then you go get Pujols, former MVP and all-star, to come off the bench. You're pitching. David Price, Cy Young winner, former all-star. Clayton Kershaw, Cy Young winner, former all-star. You go get Scherzer, Cy Young winner, former all-star. Trevor Bauer, Cy Young winner, former all-star. They go get Cole Hamels, World Series MVP, former all-star. And, come look at this team.
And you see what they signed him? He gets $1 million just for showing up. And then $200K a start. How about that? From now, that ain't a bad deal.
But they just, the coach, their team's just loaded. Now I think they know, obviously. I really don't think Bauer's coming back this year. I don't think he'll be on the Dodgers again. I think he's gone. But just the amount of the money they just keep spending, and and I think the most overrated manager in sports is Dave Roberts. I am not a Dave Roberts fan. I think he's an idiot. I think, honestly, Coach, I really believe you could do a better job managing him. Okay. It's not hard when you have a team like that, Coach. It really isn't.
I agree with you 100%.
When you're lightning Kershaw, Scherzer, I forgot to bring up Walker Buehler. Probably that's a star I forgot to bring up. All-star, and with Wheeler neck and neck for the Cy Young this year. I forgot him. Buehler, who's got, I think he's second, and I forgot to bring up Urias, who actually leads the league in wins. Do you listen to all the guys I brought up, Coach? These are all on one team. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, the rich get richer, but still there's competitive balance somehow.
There is. They're not even in first place. Somehow the Giants have a better record. That's what's great about baseball.
Yeah, that's what it is. So we'll see. But we'll go back. We're gonna stick to Tuesday probably up until football starts, just so everybody knows. I think
then
Tuesday,
we'll do Mondays after the
then we'll get back once we get into the football season. Once Monday Night Football kicks in, we'll be on Monday nights again. We'll go back to our Sunday, Monday, Thursday time slots with that. So just to keep everybody posted on those things. So we'll keep trucking along, man. It's a good job. Thanks, everyone. Make sure you share it with your friends. Tell people about it. If you like us, even if you hate us, we don't care. Just have people
We
feel
don't understand.
We don't care.
Coach. A lot of people like Coach. Trust me.
And
Coach has got a long list
and I
of
don't
people that
care.
like him.
That's right. Take a number, hit the back of the line. Don't care. So yeah. And but we appreciate it. If you could share it with your friends and like us over there on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. You know, we'd appreciate that as well.
Give him the middle finger up. He doesn't care. Just Tubman.
Yeah,
And that's what he probably deserves.
There you go. So we appreciate it. So thanks everyone for checking us out, and we'll see you guys next week. We'll have a little more football. We'll have some preseason football to talk about a little more as we get into the games now. Cuts start coming in. See,
and you can watch a little Hard Knocks tonight if you're a Hard Knocks fan.
Oh yeah, Hard Knocks start. Oh boy, man.
Coach is too cheap though. He don't have HBO, so we'll have to.
Actually, wait a second. It's not. It's included in my condo fee in Florida.
Oh, well, there you go. So it's included in the condo fee. That's why he's got it. That's
the only reason why I got it. The only reason. So, man. So there. Yep. All right. 8 of you watching. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it. Now, all 8 of you go to a separate phone and give us a like, man.
Give him a share. He's desperate. He'll do whatever.
So, all right, guys. Take care. We appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks.